Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing super well. Thank you for all the support on the Barbie review that I dropped yesterday. I've loved chatting with you guys about the movie and I'm so glad to see that you all loved it just as much as I did. Of course, today we are talking about Oppenheimer. I couldn't talk about one without the other and I'm super excited to chat with you guys about Oppenheimer. Exactly the same as yesterday, I will do my good and then my mixed. Again, spoiler alert, we don't actually have any bad to talk about today, which is always fun, it's always nice. And also, same as yesterday, drop some comments down below. Let's chat about Oppenheimer in the comment section. So excited to know what you guys all thought of it, but I think I have a bit of an idea anyway. Today I'm just going to get straight into it. I'm super strapped for time. I've made some notes as well, so hopefully it won't be chaotic, but if you've seen my videos before, you know it's always a little bit chaotic. So let's talk about Oppenheimer. I think the way to start with this one is to talk about the performances. Holy shit, how amazing was Cillian Murphy. I know we all knew he could do it anyway. He's got a really good track record with Nolan and outside of Nolan, especially of course Peaky Blinders. But this is easily his career best performance. He was absolutely phenomenal in Oppenheimer. He commanded the screen so well. He was mesmerising. We spend a lot of the runtime, pretty much 100% of the runtime, with his character. So I was not bored of him at all. I loved seeing him. I even wanted more. I think he was absolutely incredible. Not just in his line delivery and his general performance, but his facial expressions. There were so many times where his face just spoke 1,000 words and told us everything we needed to know. I was super impressed with him and I really can't wait for Cillian Murphy to lead more films. I'm quite happy for him to be a supporting actor as well. I think he's great at any time, but it is great to see him in a lead role. And it's not just Cillian Murphy that absolutely kills it. I would literally be here forever if I was going to talk about the whole cast, but this cast is absolutely freaking stacked and every performance is top tier. I don't know how Christopher Nolan did it, but he managed to get a career best performance out of 10 of the people in this movie. You've got Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Jack Quaid, Benny Safdie, of course Florence Pugh, and so many more that just give divine performances despite their small amount of screen time. I think my favourite side performance is from Jason Clarke. He's one of the characters that interrogates Cillian Murphy's Oppenheimer about what went down, and I really enjoyed the scene in the third act when it's Cillian and Jason just going at it, and there's another really great scene featuring Jason Clarke and Emily Blunt, and it's my favourite part of the movie for both of their characters, both Emily Blunt and Jason Clarke, so I absolutely adored his performance. There's been a lot of Oscar buzz about Robert Downey Jr. and I have to say I strongly agree. I love him in the MCU, don't get me wrong, but it's really nice to see him outside of the MCU, outside of Iron Man, doing something a bit more gritty, something really cool, and I think he absolutely killed it. If he got a nomination or even if he won for Oppenheimer, I'd be totally okay with that. I thought RDJ was excellent. My favourite element of this movie was probably the sound. I think it's definitely going to get a look in for sound design at the Oscars. I think it's going to win. Obviously, we've still got a little while to go yet, but I do genuinely believe that this has a good chance of winning. Every element of sound was so meticulously crafted through every single scene. It really stood out to me. The same can be said with the score provided by Ludwig Göransson. I thought it was utilised perfectly. I've been listening to it at work whilst I'm tapping away on my computer. I think it's really powerful and it matched the tone of the movie so well. But yeah, outside of the score, the sound design was just perfectly done. Even during a scene, if you've seen it, you'll know, the Trinity test, you just expect when they're doing the testing of the bomb for it to just be a big explosion, but the sound is so clever and it gives so much more than that, and I was really excited by what that scene managed to do. Everything about that scene was flawless, the performances, the cinematography, but the sound really took it up an extra level and I was so impressed by the sound design. As I just mentioned, the cinematography is utterly gorgeous throughout this film. It's fairly understated at times, as a lot of the time we're just watching characters kind of have a conversation and watching dialogue be thrown between characters. But I think it really excels regardless. You've got a mixture of colour and black and white, and I think the black and white cinematography was utilised very well. Also, of course, the scene I just mentioned, the Trinity test where the bomb goes off. So well done, so well shot. It looks absolutely phenomenal and I already can't wait to rewatch that scene over and over again. The camera work is fantastic, and I believe it was Hoyt van Hoytema that shot this film, so obviously it is no surprise that the movie looks absolutely stunning. Many may be put off by the runtime, and I must admit I was a little bit concerned about how I would feel. I absolutely love Christopher Nolan. I do believe he's never made a bad film, and his films do tend to be on the longer side, and I do sometimes struggle with long run times, but I kid you not, I did not feel that 3-hour runtime whatsoever. I think it absolutely flew past, and I think that is very commendable as it's a completely dialogue driven movie. There's no action in here, it's purely dialogue, and for a runtime of 3 hours to pass that quickly, I was super impressed. I think around the middle there was it did slow down a little bit, but that third act picks things up again and it just moves so fast. I think the third act in general is actually quite divisive, but it was my favourite act of the movie. There was a lot of really intriguing dialogue in there, and it gets into the nitty-gritty of Oppenheimer being kind of challenged in like a court drama kind of setting, a court drama way. So if you like a court drama, you'll absolutely dig the third act. It was my favourite. That last like 45-50 minutes just flew past so quickly, and when the film ended I could have had more. I wasn't like super ready to get out of my seat or anything. If you're worried about checking this out at the cinema because of the 3-hour length, don't worry. If you're anything like me, it will pass super quickly for you. Of course, this is based on a true story, and because of that fact, I think it's one of Christopher Nolan's most simplistic storylines. It's his most accessible film in terms of content, I would say, and it's basically a biopic, but I don't want that to sound like a negative because it's not. I love it when Christopher Nolan goes wild and plays around with the idea of time and things like that, but it was quite refreshing to have a movie that was just following a guy from history, following his life and telling us about the man behind the bomb. We don't know anything about Oppenheimer himself, and that's why I really enjoyed a film like this, and I like that with biopics that it teaches you a lot about someone that you don't already know. I had no idea who Oppenheimer was. I didn't even know the name of the guy who made the atomic bomb before the marketing and that started for this film. So I was really down to kind of hear about him, and I think Cillian Murphy's performance tied with the script was a really good exploration into this heavily flawed but very human character. It's not just about the bomb, we get to dive into his relationships, his friendships, and I think it's all done really well. It's an engaging and intriguing biopic. It doesn't glamorise what he's doing, it definitely shows kind of both sides of it, and a big theme in this script is guilt, and obviously that gets worse and worse as the film progresses when the character of Oppenheimer realises what he's done and what he has caused. The script also has a little dive into power as well. Its themes are quite deep, and it definitely dives into them in a satisfying manner. It doesn't spend too long with any like commentary or anything like that, but it conveys a lot of emotion and a lot of different themes, which I think audiences will really enjoy. The dialogue is historical and there's a lot of jargon in there, but I found it really accessible. I found it really easy to follow, so hopefully you guys do as well. If you didn't already guess, I am super impressed by Oppenheimer. I think it's one of those rare gems that is basically a masterclass in filmmaking. Every single element is notable and everything is so well done. I can't really nitpick, like there's nothing wrong with any of it. The performances are amazing, the cinematography is stunning, the sound is so well crafted, the script is, the dialogue is just so well written. I was so engaged and I really wasn't expecting that. Everything about Oppenheimer is meticulous, it's well made, and Christopher Nolan has another one in the bag. This is definitely one of his best. Those that are saying it's his best film of all time, I don't agree. There are a couple I prefer, but it's definitely up there, and I can easily see why people think it's his best. It is a very good movie that I would highly recommend. Before I sign out for the day, I do have one or two kind of minor gripes. Similar to Barbie, I do have something that I think could have worked better, but it didn't take away my enjoyment whatsoever. I still thoroughly enjoyed the film. So because the cast was so stacked and because there are so many characters in this movie, at any given point, like the frame is so full of people, which I absolutely love because it means we get so many actors in here that we know and love and they all give great performances. But there are times when things don't pack as much of a punch as they probably should, just because there's a lot of underdevelopment. My first example of this is with Florence Pugh's character. She plays Jean Tatlock, who Oppenheimer has like a kind of relationship with. Gene is very hot and cold with Oppenheimer, and one scene he'd be in with her, she'd be all over him and they'd have like really raunchy sex and it seemed like she was really interested. And then the next scene she's like pushing him away and crying, and there's like nothing in the middle, and it's really hard to kind of gauge where they're at and why she's pushing him away, like, because it doesn't have much time to develop their relationship. It just feels hot and cold, and it doesn't really necessarily work all of the time despite their chemistry and amazing performances. And another example is kind of a spoiler, so I'll be careful with what I say, but there's a scene during kind of near-ish the third act where there's a, sorry, pardon the pun, but there's like a bomb that's dropped on the audience. And it's meant to be like a big shocking moment about a certain character in the movie. We find something out about them that is a surprise that we didn't know. But because the character in question had so little screen time, I wasn't as shocked as it wanted me to be, and I think the thing that is revealed about this character is really important and it's like a big deal. But because we don't really know who the character is and the actor hasn't been on the screen that much, it doesn't do enough. Like I said, that is a minor gripe. I know it sounds like I'm moaning, but I did thoroughly enjoy this film. I think Oppenheimer is an absolute blast. I think it's one of Nolan's best. I think everybody's going to enjoy it if they give it the chance. Definitely deserves to be seen on the big screen because of the sound and the cinematography. My overall score for Oppenheimer is the same as Barbie. It's a 4.5 out of 5. I can't compare the two because they are obviously completely different, but I absolutely adored them both, and I love that all you guys have as well. It's so nice that the whole Barbenheimer thing isn't like a competition. Everyone's just realising that two films came out that are both amazing, both incredibly made, both about things that are completely different and completely opposite tones, but both very well made films by two very competent directors. Thank you for joining me today. Sorry it was a little bit of a rush. I just wanted to get this review out whilst it's still current. Like I said earlier, please drop a comment down below on your thoughts on Oppenheimer. I can't wait to chat with you guys about Nolan, about Cillian, about Oppenheimer, about everything. Let me know if you agree with my thoughts, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.